Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Maker. During the last part, I played through 6 levels, and there were 2 particularly long levels. The first one was to do alternate pathways, Castle Breach Assault that was, and the second one, which was the vertical level. Boy, that was such a toughie that I wasn't able to complete it legitimately. I had to use the editor in order to skip some segments. So for that reason, if a level takes too long to complete, what I'll do is I'll load it up in the editor and show the rest of the level so you at least know what the level structure is. So in this part, I'll be completing at least 5 or 6 more levels. This time, however, the level pool I'll sample will be coming from the subreddit Mega Maker Official's weekly level sharing thread for August 16th through August 22nd. I loaded up a bunch of level IDs that were provided in comments in the thread and put them into random thing picker, and so I used that to pick what levels I'll be choosing next. Now, I will dedicate this in the next part to playing through at least 5 or 6 levels in it from that subreddit, mainly because of how many there are. First up is this level, Wily Sewage Facility by UPRC, 14 plays and a score of 5. Of course, just like before, the level quality, length, difficulty, etc. will vary a lot, so keep that in mind. Also, as a quick disclaimer, just like before, apologies if my critiques seem a bit too harsh. I'm just doing it so that we can all become better level designers as a whole, because making good, or at least very least decent Mega Man levels is much harder than it looks. I learned that the hard way in Megamel 1 and Megamel 2 and a few other adventures. And of course, the other thing you need to note is that this is live commentary and this is the first time I went through these levels, so my comments will be kind of harsher than what it would usually be if I was doing post-com instead, where I have the benefit of reflection. Okay, first we have these little bit tighter jumps with all these Crystal Joes. We have a full set of every special weapon, but we can't charge, okay? We have a quick jump over these... Well, that was a little bit close there. We have a quick jump over all of these count bombs. And we have a Hammer Joe segment. So this stage is certainly starting out a little bit more challenging than what you usually expect. In fact, I probably should be using my special weapons more, might as well. I got a full selection. That'll be the substitute for not having the charge shot, I suppose. Okay, so far I see the difficulty progression is a bit easier than the earlier segment, if you were to ask me. Mainly due to the fact that we don't have a threat of instant death anymore, at least for now. And the fire shield is already pretty good, or firestorm I mean. We have to get across as quickly as possible and not getting hit by the explosion. And I guess taking the bottom route leads to instant death, or at least an alternate pathway. Let me check if it leads to an alternate pathway or if it leads to death. Good thing I have Rush Coil, otherwise I'd be stuck over here. Well, I guess I'm not going back then. I think this leads to instant death, but that's rather suspicious for being an alternate pathway, so I'm curious. Curious if that actually leads to an alternate path. Also, if the shotmans fire off screen, their bullets will never come down, so that's helpful for me at least. Okay, it's another one of these segments, so... I think the shine is a better option here because I can deflect shots. Never mind, then I thought there would be an enemy there. Well, there's an enemy over here, so it works out. I guess that was an alternate pathway, so I will replay the stage to see what's over there. Okay, this is an alternate route I could have taken. Oh yeah, I have a close corridors here, so oh wow. I didn't expect this to be a falling segment, but okay. Okay, now we're in the water treatment facility of the sewage plant. What makes the firestorm so awesome is that the fire shield that's produced, it can repeatedly hit enemies. So it makes traversing through these areas a lot easier, because you can multi-hit targets. Okay, challenge is definitely ramping up, because I don't want to get hit over there. Oh yeah, I forgot of the skull barrier, so I have nothing to worry about getting killed by hitting the spikes at the top. If I don't have the skull barrier, I have to worry about hitting the tops of the ceilings with spikes, but with the skull barrier, that's no longer a problem. I really wish I had a boomerang weapon so I could actually grab the items that I miss on the top. That would have been really helpful. But unfortunately, the rolling cutter doesn't do that, and we don't have any boomerang weapons. So it's kind of sad when I lose all these power-ups to the walls and whatnot. Perhaps in a future update. Good thing the metal blade has all that ammo, as it usually does. It's not been nerfed too much. And good checkpoint placement, although the level difficulty progression seems a bit... I'm just gonna take a dead over here so I can get back to full health. The level difficulty progression seems a bit off. It seems that the difficulty is going a bit from high to medium to high again, especially the beginning, which was quite difficult with those cow bomb jumps over bottomless pits. It doesn't seem that the gimmicks are exactly consistently introduced, is what I'm saying. But it isn't too bad. It's not as difficult as some of the other stages in the previous part. Oh, those were very difficult. It's not as bad as that, thankfully. Can I hit the enemy from here? Yes, I can. Okay, we have an M-Tank. Hopefully the boss fight isn't too difficult. Once again, none of these spike traps are really dangerous unless they're combined with enemies, because I can always use the upgraded skull barrier. Overall, I'm liking the stage, although the difficulty progression, as I keep saying, is a little bit off. Also, another nice thing I forgot to mention is that the crash bomber will actually stick to shielded enemies instead of being deflected before, and it will eventually detonate. And the crash bomber will detonate on contact with enemies, which didn't happen in Mega Man 2, so that's also a nice upgrade. Okay, boss battle against Napalm Man, and we have spike ceilings there. That's not his weakness. That's not his weakness either. Firestorm? No. What could it be? Of course, Magnet Missile. Oh, I almost got it, but his invulnerability period was a little bit higher. That would probably be another nice tweak, changing the invulnerability frames of each boss, or at least give it so like it's non-short, normal, long, etc. If there's one thing I would like to credit the developer for, it's creating interesting challenges, and the fact that there's actually checkpoint placement that's fair, it's not too far back. And that was the sewage treatment plant. I like the stage, although the difficulty and challenge progression needs to be worked out so it's a little bit smoother and it's gradual. Either it's even or gradually going upwards instead of being kind of lopsided. I'll try out the alternate pathway in another part. I really wanted to sample other levels first, but good job, UPRC. I see you also made a few other stages too, so I may take a look at them in the future. So off to a good start. Next level is the Moon Titan by Jellopudding, 22 plays and a score of 5. I'm really hoping I'm not going to encounter a really difficult stage like what Battle Kid was, or worse yet, the Ascent was in the previous part. Okay, we have the Crystal Cavern background from the Gemini Man, and we have Bomb Man's team for some reason. Once again, we have every special weapon for some reason. Well, it makes these challenges a lot easier, so I don't mind it at all. Of course, these keep infinitely spawning, so I gotta be cautious there. Or of course I can just use Rush Jet in the right direction. And circumvent this challenge. Well, at least the designers are nice enough to give me all the special weapons to get across and circumvent these challenges if they're too difficult. I see what they want me to do there. I need to jump over all of these platforms, but it's a little bit scary because of all these tellies trying to drop me off. That was my fault for making the jump a bit too early. Let me try doing this stage legitimately, and if I get stuck, I'll just use all of my special weapons. That seems to be a good option. Or a good thing. Oh, I didn't realize these telly generators are actually solid, and I got stuck there because of that. Usually I would think they would be non-solid, but apparently the generators are solid. And of course he despawns if he goes off screen. I'm learning a lot of things about how the physics of Rush Jet work in this game. Let's try doing this challenge correctly this time. Okay, the challenges are starting out a little bit on the easy side. But I would like if there was a introduction to the Yoku blocks over a safer platform, but it isn't too bad. Okay, that's a little bit odd placement there. I was expecting the first one to appear at the bottom, but I think there was an issue with the global timer or something. At least that's what I think happened. The Yoku block challenges aren't that bad yet, so I'm not faulting the developer for adding 2 tough challenges. Also, I really like how the Firestorm wrecks these Sniper Joes. Thank you for putting a checkpoint over there. Good checkpoint placement. It's always really appreciated, and one of the first things I look for in a Mega Man stage, even more so than solid difficulty progression. The main 3 things I look for in a Mega Man stage are a unique gimmick or some sort of challenge that's a little bit unique, or that's the central part of the stage, unless it's something like a Fortress stage. But for regular Mega Man stages, I'm looking for a solid gimmick or something that sets the stage apart. And in addition to that, I would also look for a solid checkpoint placement depending on the difficulty of the stage. Remember, 6 to 12, every 6 to 12 screens there should be a checkpoint. More checkpoint frequency if the difficulty of the challenges is higher. Can I eventually kill this Sniper Joe? Thank you. And then following that, I'd also like to, if there to be a solid difficulty progression from easy to harder, and something that's not really too lopsided. I don't mind if the difficulty progression is also relatively even, but I prefer if it's either slowly increasing from easier to harder, or it's about solid. That's my preferred. We only have Mega Man 2 physics, it seems. No jumping and no charging and sliding. Now we're in the icy portion of this stage. Of course, I could always just use the NATO in order to get across. I mean the shine. Still, none of the level design is too jerkish for now. Also, really appreciate all these stages are actually giving me stuff like the shine so I can deflect shots, as well as the skull barrier, just for extra insurance. But remember, the skull barrier instantly dissipates once I actually hit an enemy, so I gotta be cautious. Or if the skull barrier hits an enemy. And I gotta be careful because, as I learned in the previous part, I can easily get telefragged by those Yoku blocks if not careful. And we're at the boss fight. Pretty nice stage. I say I rated the same as the previous stage. Although the previous stage I feel had a better gimmick, or a more fun gimmick. Okay, let's see what Nightman's weakness is in this battle. Because it always varies from fight to fight. Too bad I can't really switch my weapon. Of course it's the Crash Bomb. Wonderful. That makes this fight even more challenging. Because I don't have an E-tank. Ooh, I got through this fight without dying. Neat. Well, certainly a fun stage, although things could be worked on, like adding a little bit more of a gimmick, but I do appreciate that the Yoku blocks were introduced in a relatively solid environment. So good job, Jellopudding. And this, I suppose, was their first uploaded level, so good work with the Moon Titan. Next up is Teleport Madness by Doiiom. 10 plays and a score of 0. I hope I didn't butcher your name there. No boss, but I suppose it's going to be a gimmick level dependent on all those Galaxy Man teleporters. Similar to that. Whoa. Okay, okay, we only have the usage of the charge kick, it seems, but infinite. Oh, I see. I need to use a combination of the air sliding, or charge kick's air sliding, combined with teleporting into these teleporters. Neat! Yeah, the air sliding from the charge kick apparently was added from the... or was based off of Rockman 5 air sliding, which was a ROM hack, a pretty popular ROM hack of Mega Man 5. Or rather, Rockman 5. Thank you for putting a checkpoint over here, although I don't think it's as necessary. Okay. It was a little bit confusing what happened there. Well, now I know why they put the checkpoint there, so we don't have to go back too far. Oh, I see. I don't have access to slide anymore, so I'll die. What I need to do is keep the slide up so I can actually slide out of that teleport and get to the other side. Okay, I don't mind it too much because, well, the checkpoint's right over here. Let me just take care of all these tadpoles, or whatever they're called, and get across. Get to the bottom. Teleport to the other side, and then use the slide. Get over here. Oh. Whoops. I forgot that the teleporter would just shunt me down there. It's okay, it's a simple puzzle stage and isn't too bad. It's not too challenging, so I don't mind it. And I really want to keep this up so I don't die. Avoid going back into the second teleporter once I teleport out of there, otherwise I will die. A little bit trial of error, but I don't mind it. The checkpoint is right here after all. Get to the other side, use the fourth teleporter, slide across, and teleport back in there. Thank you for being a checkpoint. Oh, there's the exit. Kind of a short stage, I suppose. And there we have it. That was the end of Teleport Madness. It was a rather short gimmick stage, but I really enjoyed it. Although there was some trial and error involved because you had to figure out which teleporter went well. But I still liked it. So good job, Doiiom. I would like to see this gimmick expanded further so I could see more unique and more difficult stage hazards. And I really like the combination of forcing players to use air sliding and forcing them to conserve if necessary. Seems that they have some other puzzle levels too, so I may try them out in the future. What happened there? It seems that that developer removed their level from, or de-uploaded their level. Unfortunate. Alright, next level is Outlaw Trail by Baramos. 12 plays and a score of 3. It's unfortunate when some of the developers de-upload their levels, but I suppose it's so that they can take it down and improve it for future reference, or they're kind of embarrassed with their level, or it's not up to their quality standards. Okay, Outlaw Trail, 4th level of this. Silver Tomahawk, Skull Barrier, Magnet Missile. We can slide, and we have Charge Shot. Mega Man 4 Charge Shot, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because even though it does more damage, its smaller cone of fire or smaller projectile size means it's harder to hit certain enemies. Oh, that was a bit close over there. I'm gonna try ignoring all the picket men because there's quite a nuisance to deal with, especially because they're random firing art. Now I could use any of the other weapons, but I'll save them for elsewhere. Good solid level progression, by the way, and thank you for putting the checkpoint there. I'll always repeat that when I see good solid level progression, because remember, each of these is a commentary on each level. And right now I'm liking most of the levels I went through in this part. The first two are more like solid Mega Man style levels, but the previous one felt more like a gimmick one, but it was fun. This one feels like another solid challenge level. I see, I need to slide up and go. I need to jump on that moving platform again. But good introduction, so we're not over a bottomless pit, I mean, so we can get introduced to it correctly and jump across. And I failed it here. Basically, I need to be on the edge and jump across as quickly as possible in order to make it. And there's a checkpoint right over here, so in case I fail, I can at least repeat the challenge. Wish it was a little bit safer so I can go back and forth a bit. And I don't have the charge kick, so I can't really improve that. Oh, I need to slide. Okay, so this is gonna be a quick stage. Or a fast-paced stage, I mean. So we had a solid introduction, one of which we had to slide on that one block, over a non-bottomless pit, then over a bottomless pit, then jump over a spike. Solid level progression, definitely. Take care of all the Battens and Coltons. Thank you for putting a checkpoint there, especially because it's the tougher challenge, aka all the bottomless pits. It's a good placement. We have all the picket men, and that was my fault. So we have harder versions of the earlier pickmen who are even more annoying to deal with. I could easily just destroy them using the magnet missile, but I'll conserve it for the boss fight. Might as well try going to the stage buster only. Oh, and the skull barrier doesn't last long enough either. That's unfortunate. If I go to the stage fast, I can at least get there without avoiding fighting the picketmen. But the problem are all these Battens. I'm just gonna wait it out over here so I don't instantly die. All damage boost, basically. Sorry for taking all the damage, but that's the only safe way across I can see here, especially because of all these Battens. The annoyingly placed Battens. Still, good solid difficulty progression. It's certainly harder than before, and it was fun. It wasn't too frustrating to go through, especially because the picket men don't deal that much damage per hit. It's just the knockback that's more of a concern. If anything, this stage could also be called Picketman's Revenge or something. And thank you for putting the checkpoint right after the difficult segment. Always appreciate it. I probably should also be regenerating all my weapon energy for that tomahawk. That was really useful. Oh, I didn't get it. Never mind, I got it in time. That's appreciated. And we're at the end of the waterfall, kind of an abrupt transition to nothingness. Oh, never mind, there's the ground. I really wish there was a little bit more intermediary transition between the waterfall abruptly ending and this desert mountainous environment. But I suppose that's not really possible in this engine because we can't custom make the tile sets in the background, or backgrounds I mean. Okay, now we have all these the following platforms to go through with all these tellies. That was my fault. I forgot that Colton was there. But I do like that the developers now, or the level designers, adding multiple different types of configurations of enemies you have to face. We had to fight all of these picket men and Coltons by themselves before, but now we have to fight them in combinations. I do wish though that the falling platform gimmick was introduced a little bit earlier, in a safe environment. Like I said, that pause threw me off. I really wish there was an option in the future update that allows me to turn off the temporary pause when you pick up an item. That threw me off in the original NES series as well, and I really like it when hacks give you the option of disabling it. That temporary pause when you collect an item. Really appreciate it, and makes precise platforming a lot easier. Thank goodness there are no enemies nearby. Oh. Made it across this time. That was quite a difficult stretch. Now it's a little bit harder, or about the same difficulty as the stretch with all the Battens and the picket men, but I liked it. I could have also used the skull barrier to make it a lot easier. Okay, fair man. Let's see what his weakness is. Is it Tomahawk? Yes, it is. I'm just gonna use that and finish the job. Definitely a fun stage, solid difficulty progression, good placement of checkpoints, and really nice of using different configuration enemies first in isolation and then combined together to make tougher challenges. Although I would have liked it if we could if the fallen platform gimmick was introduced in a better fashion, similar to the spinning tops and whatnot. Still, good job, Baramos. I really enjoyed Outlaw Trail. Certainly my favorite level out of this part. Next up is Rockman's Cavern by Hapley. 1 play and 1 score. And the boss is Stone Man. Hopefully more bosses will be added in the future, as right now there are only 2 bosses per game, I believe. We can either go left or right, so I'll go left. No, we can't go left any further, so I suppose it's because of a stage barrier at the bottom. Let's take the upper route and see what... That's interesting, we can just charge... Oh, never mind, there's nothing down there either. Alright, let's go down here. So this is going to be another big stage, but it isn't as laggy or stuttery as some of the other stages in the previous parts for some reason. I wonder why, probably because of less gimmicks or something. And we have sliding and charge kick and the Mega Man 5 or 6 Mega Buster, so that's good. The path splits up here, so I'll take the... Let me take the left route over here and see what it has to offer. I suppose this is another level with alternate pathways. Never mind, this just leads to some extra goodies. Whenever I see these off-trodden pathways, I always think they are an alternate pathway through the level, just like the Castle Breach Assault was in the previous part. As I mentioned in that part, I really enjoyed when stages have multiple pathways you can go through that are more than just for collecting extra goodies. It really adds more character to the level and increases replayability. I really enjoyed it when Mega Man 6, 7, and especially 7 added alternate pathways that you could access by having... Okay, that was a bit odd. That you can access by having the proper special weapon. That really added to replayability of the level, and made it so that there was another use to actually using special weapons, other than making certain enemy configurations and obstacles easier to go through. In this game, we don't really have extra goodies, other than life energy, extra lives, weapon energy, etc. Probably in a future update, I would like something like keys to open doors, and perhaps something like the Noble Nickels in Megamo 2. Maybe something like stars or coins you can collect. That way there's actually more reason to explore different parts of the stage, instead of just having to repeat stage segments over and over. Well, I see the Sniper Joe over there, but because of how Stone Man fights, I can always just slide under him and avoid his Power Stone regardless. So, that Sniper Joe really wasn't a problem. Well, this was certainly a short stage, but I liked it. I thought there was going to be some alternate pathways, but the only one really was just for an extra goodie, aka large life energy and large weapon energy. And the upper path was nothing there, so I would say to work on adding an alternate pathway to the stage to make it fun. It was certainly on the shorter side, but I didn't mind it. It wasn't too difficult. Oh, he also made some Kaiser levels too. I'll take a look at them in the future, maybe. Next up is Orange Mansion by Elloss. 19 plays and a score of 7. Fitting by the name, all the enemies and the tile sets I suppose are going to be golden, or orange colored, as much as possible because not all the tile sets have been added in. Really, if the main suggestion I would like to be added, or stuff that I would like to be added to this game, it would be more tile sets, more enemies, basically more assets and more level objects, and to rephrase or reiterate, more level objects, more enemies, more assets, more bosses, more weapons, etc. Just more stuff in general in terms of content I would like, as well as the general bug fixes, but the main thing this game needs more, I would suppose, would be more stuff in general for people to play around with, and more gimmicks and other things to add to this game. Specifically, I would like to see more enemy types, as well as, well, bosses of course, and special weapons to try on different configurations. The number of tile sets right now are pretty good, but I would like to see eventually all the tile sets from all the Mega Man games, Mega Man Classic games from 1 to 6 to be added. And then, eventually, probably they could add, for example, the other types of Mega Man playstyles. The most obvious one, or straightforward to add, would probably be the Mega Man Wily Wars, the tile set. Or at least the graphical style, because the gameplay of the Wily Wars is pretty identical to the NES games. In fact, it even has the same tile ratios and Mega Man sizes relative to stages, so it should make it a lot easier to port it over, I suppose. Maybe even a monochrome filter if necessary. Mega Man 7 and Mega Man 8 are going to be a lot more challenging because of different perspectives and gameplay styles. Similar with Mega Man vs. Bass as well. For those, there'll have to be some demakes made. Mega Man 9 and 10 will also be kind of easier to introduce as well, mainly because, well, they're also in the same gameplay style and aesthetic as Mega Man 1 through 6, so it should be a bit easier. So probably the most obvious tile sets to be added, other than from Mega Man 1 through 6, would probably be from Mega Man 9 and 10, and then eventually from then Wily Wars. Then eventually demakes of Mega Man 7 and 8 can be added. Although adding stuff in the Wily Wars may be a problem because then the developers have to remake the assets into 16-bit versions for everything following Mega Man 1, 2, 3. Unless for the Wily Wars aesthetic they limit all the tile sets down to being from Mega Man 1 to 3 and Wily Tower from the Wily Wars. In that case, it shouldn't be too hard to add directly. I say that, but I don't know how the engine is built. Alright, enough talk about upgrades, let's talk about the level itself. It's fun. I see the developers trying to make as much of the level as orange as possible, but there's some stuff like these blue bricks as well as the green backgrounds that don't really support that. But it's not too bad. Oh, okay, we have a spike gimmick here. And we have orange spikes fitting. Orange enemies, and we have mostly orange and red enemies too. So nice job keeping with the aesthetic. It kind of reminds me of Chroma Key from Megama 1, but focusing only on one color. If we had more enemies, this gimmick could be taken a lot further, but unfortunately it can't because we don't have enough assets. Like, we could have the orange pillars that are missing. Also, nice usage of actually blocking these tackle fires against all these unbreakable blocks, so we can't normally damage them without going right up to next to them. But even then, it's not really possible all the time, as you can see here. Only with stuff like the Firestorm I can get across. But even then I took quite a bit of damage for going next to the enemies. But I guess that was the end of Orange Mansion. Quite a nice stage focusing on one color scheme as much as possible, but I suppose it'd be better if we actually have more orange assets that we can use. So good job, Elloss. It certainly isn't really much in terms of level gimmicks, but in terms of level aesthetics gimmicks or style, it was nice. Wow, they made a bunch of other levels, so eventually I may try out some of them. I keep saying that, but I'll probably have to dedicate a few episodes to replaying some of the stages from authors that I already went through. Alright, level number 7, I think. It should be 7 because we skipped 1 because it didn't exist. Charge Kick Training by Kueivolonte. I'll just call you Volonite. Apologies for mispronouncing your name. Or Volan. 14 plays and a score of 7. Boy, we're going through the levels pretty fast in this part, mainly because none of them have been so challenging or had multiple alternate paths that I had to go through. Okay, stage level 7, let's do this. And because it's called Charge Kick Training, the only access we have is the Charge Kick. Okay, we have to it's basically introducing us to how the Charge Kick works, especially the new abilities that we have available to the Charge Kick, like the air sliding and being able to pass through enemies. Like here, this is forcing you that you can actually learn how to... In order to progress here, you need to air slide in order to get across and destroy these blocks, otherwise you won't be able to make the jump. It's a nice way of introducing the gimmicks. It's like one of those challenge rooms in Mega Man Powered Up, which teaches you the full extent of how the Roadmaster weapons will be taken, as well as the Roadmasters themselves. Actually, that would be another nice upgrade to this game, being able to play as some of the Roadmasters. I know that was a feature in Mega Man Powered Up, where you could play as 8 of the Roadmasters, as well as different variations of Mega Man, as well as Proto Man and Roll. That would be a nice addition, being able to play as different Roadmasters with different characteristics and strengths and weaknesses. That would be fun. That would add a whole new dimension to level customization, level design. And that's something that isn't available in Mega Maker, so that would be a definite upgrade. And that would make something like that would make Mega Maker stand out from Mario Maker, which only allows you to play as Mario or Luigi, but even then, the only other characters you can play as are skins, and they don't really vary up their attacks. All their physics are basically the same. The only difference, from what I recall, is their aesthetics. Maybe there are some differences with some of the cars and vehicles, but even then it's mostly the same Mario physics and Mario gameplay. That was my fault. This is trying to teach you how to air slide at the correct time. But if Roadmasters were to be added, it can add a whole new dynamic to the game with different physics and different enemy configurations, because certain stages would be a lot more difficult or easier to go through, and certain enemies and level design gimmicks can be designed around the Roadmaster's different physics. Sure, we sort of have a in-between approach over here where Mega Man has infinite usage of the special weapon he has equipped, but I would like something taken further where we have Roadmasters who, in addition to being able to infinitely use a particular special weapon, their trademark special weapon that is, they can also have different physics, similar to what happened in Rock Force or the Day in the Limelight series. If you remember my Rock Force playthrough, you'll know that each of the Rock Force members that we rescued had their own special weapons, as well as their own unique characteristics and physics. Like, for example, Leckman could wall jump just like Mega Man X, Cutman could have a weaker version of the wall jump, Nightman has Night Barrier but could also block enemies or enemy projectiles with his shield, and so on and so forth. And also Fireman was really powerful with his fire waves and could fire them all upwards and downwards, as well as his Firestorm. Bombman being able to explode bombs but having to destroy it or let go of the bombs when he slides. It really added to the character of that game. And I really hope it's eventually added to a future update, maybe in the far future. And that would, like I said, that would make it stand apart from Mario Maker in a very significant way. Mega Maker stands out in a significant way because of all the special weapons you have, but being able to play as different Roadmasters or characters with different physics, that would make it stand out even further, that's for sure. I certainly liked this stage, solid difficulty progression, and it really showed you how to properly use the new and improved charge kick for this game. First starting out with the regular charge kick, then the air sliding, and teaching the player how to correctly air slide in midair or at the correct time so they can get across tight corridors. And of course we're introducing enemies so you could show how to properly deal with enemies using the charge kick. I really wish there were some enemies who fired projectiles so you could actually show that the charge kick passed through the projectiles. Alright, the last level for this part. Remember, in the next part I will be trying out at least 5 or 6 more of the levels I found on the level sharing thread. Alright, final stage, What's the Holdup? By Squadaloo. 33 plays and a score of 19. This is the highest scoring level of the bunch I've seen. Let's see what it has to offer. No boss fight either, so I suppose it's based off of a gimmick. And judging by the score, I suppose it'll be a pretty good gimmick, or well designed and well thought out. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen this before. In this stage, we have infinite usage of the gravity hold special weapon. So I can spam it like this. Whoa, apologies for all the screen flashing. I won't be spamming it anymore unless it's really necessary. And we can slide as well, so that's good. So now we can infinitely take care of the enemies, but we gotta be careful so we don't destroy our own ground and fall into the pit. Like here, if we use the gravity hold, the big guy is sent over here, and then we have to worry about it trying to kill us, but of course we could just spam the gravity hole and get across. Also in these segments like this, I can't really use the gravity hole. I just need to dodge it as much as dodge all these Metul bullets so I can get across without falling in the pit. Also over here, I have to use the gravity hole just as I jump so I can get across. Really creative, and I really like the difficulty progression. I understand now why I got so high of a score. Same over here, I can't really destroy the gravity hold without dying. So this stage is teaching us how we need to use an infinite use of the gravity hold to destroy these enemies, but we gotta be cautious so we don't keep using it repeatedly so we just destroy a pathway forward or back, or our scaffolding. So it's teaching us to use these gravity holes cautiously. I didn't properly do it over here, but it works. I really wish there was a checkpoint nearby though. I didn't really pass a checkpoint nearby, so I'm a little bit scared of dying. Here, for example, I need to use the charge kick, gravity hold just as I jump upwards. I see what you want me to do here. They're trying to trick me in order to destroy it and slide over there, but no, you shouldn't do that. Thank you for putting the checkpoint. It's a little bit further than where I would like it to be, but I don't mind it too much. Okay, I see you need to lure the Met downwards so I can get across. Really wish there was a large life pickup somewhere, so I can actually recharge my health. And just use the gravity hold over here. I'm really liking the different ways that the designers taught out of how to use the gravity hold and different enemy configurations that we have to go through carefully. Really liking it. The level designer really taught about this level gimmick pretty well. Okay, here we need to get through this segment as quickly as possible, especially with all these force beams. And that was the end of the stage. This is definitely my second favorite stage out of the bunch. The first one was, of course... well, I forget the name. It was with all those... It was the level right after the one with all the teleporters. My apologies for forgetting it. But this is definitely my second favorite stage, mainly because of a creative usage of the gravity hold. Carefully introducing how the gravity hold can easily just take care of enemies, making the player giddy that they can infinitely use the gravity hold. But then afterwards introducing all the blocks over there that we can't easily just destroy, because otherwise the player will be forced to reset the room, or will fall into spikes or bottomless pit, so they can't progress. So it really teaches the players that even though they have infinite usage of the gravity hold, they must use it responsibly and carefully so they can get across the tricky platforms and enemy configurations. And let me tell you, the different sets of enemies and configurations and whatnot were fairly placed. There are no enemies I found that were unfairly placed and I couldn't dodge if I got skilled enough. They are all carefully placed so that you can teach the player how to go to different sets of gimmicks, and I really like how much mileage the developer Squadaloo made out of the infinite use of the gravity hold. I wouldn't mind seeing a boss fight using this gimmick, and I would love to see it taken further, maybe in Megamel 2, where there's more flexibility in what's affected by gravity hold or not, or perhaps programming in there. Definitely a fun stage, and it definitely deserves a score of 20. Good checkpoint placement, very good usage of the unique gimmick, infinite usage of gravity hold, and fun placement of enemies, and a nice solid difficulty curve. It hits the mark in all three segments, so that's why it would get a first place in terms of all those three. But in terms of what I like in my own level preferences, I preferred the 4th or 5th stage I went through in terms of fun. But still, this is a close second, so great job, Squadaloo. Bravo. Well, I went through 7 levels in this part, or 8 levels. So in the next part, I'll be going through 5 or 6 more levels from the level sharing thread. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!